Right, we can speak to Jack Valero now, who's from the group Catholic Voices. That's a group that represents the Church in the media. He's joining us live from London. Thank you very much for talking to us. So the Catholic Church as a whole, over a long period of time, has sustained huge reputational damage. How do you suggest that the Church responds to the upholding of the sentencing of Cardinal Pell, as well as other cases of child sexual abuse?
Well, of course, the abuse scandal has been terrible, and it has been exposed to have been completely mismanaged for many years and victims set aside. So I think that we have made a lot of progress in that. Personally, I'm disappointed with this judgment because I think he is innocent and he maintains his innocence. And many people in Australia I've spoken to, even enemies of Pell, don't think he is guilty. And
but he's been
so
through
I'm disappointed with that.
Okay, but I mean, you can have an opinion, of course. But he's been through a legal process, and that ruling has been upheld.
Yes, yes, I respect that, and I hope he goes to the High Court and shows that what he's accused of was impossible. But anyway, in terms of the more general point, I think that you know, in any case, it seems people have said that he's been made the scapegoat for the failures of the Catholic Church in Australia, which have been very great over 50 years. The Royal Commission report was a terrible indictment. So I think that lots of terrible things happened and they were very badly managed. And we have moved a long way. And if you look at the meeting that was held in the Vatican in February, we have come a long way. I think in terms of abuse, in countries like the UK and the US and Australia, it has stopped, but we still need to keep going. And for example, in terms of looking after victims, it's still very much work in progress. We haven't been very good there. So I think all this progress that has been made by cases, by victims bringing cases, by the media, has been really good to expose all this.
Right. Well, the Vatican has responded to the upholding of Cardinal Pell's conviction. And saying that it confirms its closeness to the victims of sexual abuse and its commitment to pursue through the competent ecclesiastical authorities those members of the clergy who commit such abuse. Now, what are the processes that have been put in place that would prevent child sexual abuse continuing at such a rampant pace has been alleged by so many different sources around the world, and what sort of methods are now put in place to punish those that are accused of and found guilty of child sexual abuse?
Well, of course, that's what we've been working on. We all want the same: for this abuse to stop, for the perpetrators to be punished, and for victims to be recompensed. And there has been a lot of progress. So I think rules have been put in the USA in 2002, in the UK in 2001, that have basically stopped the contemporary abuse, or whenever it happens, it means that it is dealt with immediately and properly. But we're dealing with decades of historical abuse which haven't been dealt with properly, and with victims that, although the abuse was then, the pain is now, and so therefore it's good that it comes out now.
Absolutely.
Most recently, there's been a document from the Holy See saying that there's mandatory reporting in the Church for anything that happens in terms of abuse, and also to follow all the civil rules of denouncing abuse to the civil authorities so that it can be dealt with.
Right.
So we've moved on from there.
As I was saying earlier, I mean, in many ways, perception outweighs reality, doesn't it, in this case, because the Church has suffered huge reputational damage. I mean, there are those that suggest, why doesn't the Pope Francis, who is widely believed to have a great deal of sympathy with victims on this issue, much more so than his predecessors, why doesn't the Pope just issue an edict saying it is not allowed and that it will not be tolerated, and anybody who is found to have committed child sexual abuse will be defrocked, will be excommunicated?
Well, he has released such a document. Most recently, several documents, but the most recent one that makes it mandatory to report all abuse. And there are rules that when somebody is caught with having done abuse and condemned, then he is defrocked. So there are all sorts of rules in place now, and Pope Francis has done just what you just said there, issued decrees and saying this is not to be tolerated, zero tolerance, and we're going to go after any abuse. But remember, we are not going against current abuses because there aren't any. We're going against abuses from the past. We have to find out, we have to encourage victims to report the crimes from the past so that people who are have been abusing in the past and have not come out yet can be identified and punished and all that. But all that is going on at the moment. There's been a huge amount of progress, and all those documents that you refer to are already in place.
Jack Valero, thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Jack Valero of Catholic Voices.